Okay, boys and girls, we're going to take a look at addition of imaginary numbers. And if you will recall, the addition of imaginary numbers will recall two steps. Simplify the imaginary numbers to evaluate and combine the like terms. So, let us simplify. We know that the square root of 49 is going to be 7. That's simple enough. There is one of them taken care of. And then we know that we have minus the square root of negative 200. Well, to simplify this, we're going to need to know that the square root of negative 1 times the square root of 200, or in other words, the square root of 100 times the square root of 2. And the square root of 100 is 10. And the square root of 2 can't be simplified. So we have minus 10 square root 2i. Remember, the I is not part of the square root. It simply represents the square root of negative 1. And then we have the square root of 81. Well, the square root of 81 we kind of already know. What two numbers will multiply to make 81? Plus 9. There it is. And we have the square root of negative 32, which is going to be plus, well, let's simplify this. What's the square root of a number that goes into 32? When I think about it, we can say we got to have negative 1, obviously, but the square root of 16 times the square root of 2. And the square root of 16 is going to give us 4 square root 2 I, because I is represented as the square root of negative 1. So now we can combine like terms. Because there's a square root of negative 2 and a square root of 2, we can combine these two together. So let's combine negative 10 plus 4, which is going to give us negative 6 square root 2 I. And since we also know that 9 is a number, it can be combined with 7. So 9 plus 7 gives us 16. The answer is 16 minus 6 square root 2 I. There we have it. Okay? Another way of writing that, of course, would be 16 minus 6i square root 2. But then again, they are both the exact same meaning. Let's take a look at another addition of imaginary numbers. Okay, let's take a look at another one. Here, we're going to look and do the same thing we just did. Simplify. Well, let's break this up piece by piece. The square root of 64 is 8. So that one's easy enough. That's taken care of. But it's negative 8 because of that sign. And then we have the square root of negative 50. Well, what perfect number makes negative 50? We obviously need to have the square root of negative 1, the square root of 25, times the square root of 2. So, we know that we actually are looking at minus 5 square root 2 I. There we have it. That one is taken care of. So let's look at the next term that we have to simplify. 36, well, we know that 36 is a perfect number, so we can add 6. And then we're going to subtract the square root of negative 32. Well, the square root of negative 32 is negative 1 square root times square root of 16 times the square root of 2. So, the square root of 16, well, we kind of already know that, don't we? It's going to be 4. And we're going to have to do 4 square root 2, can't be simplified, I. So we've done step number 1, simplifying the imaginary numbers. Now, we're going to combine the like terms. Negative 5 square root 2i and negative 4 square root 2i. Why can they combine? They both have the square root 2. They both have the square root 2, so they are allowed to combine. What we have is negative 5 minus 4, which will give us negative 9 square root 2i. And then we have to combine the other element, which, when we look at it, is negative 8 and 6. So negative 8 plus 6 should give us negative 2. Final answer, negative 2 minus 9 square root 2i. Yeah? Another way of writing that, even though it doesn't make a difference, is negative 2 minus 9, 9i square root 2. And there we have it, okay? I hope that helps out, and I hope the video was useful. Just remember 2 steps. Simplify to imaginary numbers. Evaluate and combine. You can only combine if they have the same radical and if they have the imaginary number. Only then are we able to combine the numbers with the numbers, okay? These are questions taken from Delta Math, which, funny enough, you will see exactly next Thursday. I will say that again. You will see these questions exactly like they are for next Thursday. Have a good day, everyone.